Hello, my YouTube friends. Happy Wednesday. I hope everybody's doing well and enjoying the beautiful day. Today's September 24th, again, Wednesday, which I already said. United Health is holding up well. I need to take a look when I hit the pause. I'll check on Target. I picked up a little bit more Oracle today on a pullback. The market's down a little bit, but again, I still think we're in a bullish trend. I think we have it for the next few years. Stick around. I'm going to talk about some specific stocks as well as the overall market, and should be a great video as always. So, first things first, before I even get into it, I really have to tell you how amazing so far the iPhone 17 is. I almost hate to admit it, but I didn't end up getting a microphone. The sound quality I thought was just fine. Feel free to put in the comments if I'm wrong about that. The other thing I'm noticing is the picture quality, at least from what it looks like on the screen, is so much better than the previous phone. Now, I had a 14, so maybe the 15 or the 16 was better, but I'm really impressed with it so far, which is super cool. Anyway, make a comment in the comment section if you're noticing it as well, but it's not so blurry in the background. Unfortunately, now you can see me, which maybe not such a great thing, but overall, I was really shocked yesterday when I was listening to it when I was doing the editing to hear how good the sound quality was without a microphone. So I kind of said to my wife, the only reason maybe to get one is to look a little more professional in time and have one of those fancier ones than my little clip-on one. Anyway, market's down a little bit, but things are behaving perfectly well. I don't know how many of you have been watching Conagra as I've been talking about it, but it's so silly because I'm so excited about such a boring stock. What I've been doing for the most part, because a friend was asking about it, and I told him how simple it was, and obviously things change. So I don't want to be those people going on here going, oh, this is just the greatest thing ever, and you can't lose. But let's pretend I start with 200 shares, so a reasonably what I would consider small position. Conagra is trading a little below $19 a share, so a $3,800 investment. On that, I might sell one call and get 15 cents for it in a month's time or less, as well as one put. Same thing. I'm trying to get 15 cents or more in a month or less. Now, what I've noticed is I've been able to do that almost on a weekly basis. And actually, I've been selling calls on all the shares I own. And I've been going further out a little bit now that earnings are next week. So a lot of things expire this week that I'm not going to resell until after the earnings come out. Now that's where I have some risk because if earnings aren't great and the stock plummets, I'm stuck long whatever shares I have. So I don't want anybody fooled that, oh, this is a can't lose. But here's the thing that I really love about it. When I did the math, I wasn't adding up the put and the call to think of it as 30 cents. I was only thinking about 15 cents. If I can make 15 cents a month, that averages out to a 9% yield on Conagra. Now, Conagra barely moves. Like, it does move, and it's been drifting against me. And it's also why, as I get to it, I'll explain what I've liked so much about it. I also then am collecting another 15 cents, so I'm almost up to 18% return on it. You then add that Conagra is paying a 7% dividend. So the 9% and the 7% means I'm almost getting a 16% yield to own Conagra if it's going against me. So what's interesting is on the position that I have, it's approximately 1,000 shares. So I know the example I used was 200. I'm down about $1,000 on the trade. Well, I added up all the money I'd collected on the options that had expired as of last Friday, and that was over $600 in options premium that I had been selling on the calls and the puts. So I'm really only down about $400. And then I'll get paid on the next dividend that I get. Now, I have a really weird number of shares because I didn't realize I am in dividend reinvestment, so I forget the exact number. But it's really amazing watching how it's played out, and it ends up mitigating my loss on a stock that's barely going anywhere. If it starts going higher and I end up getting exercised on the calls, I won't collect the 7% from the dividend payment, but what I realize is the 50 cents or a dollar or whatever it is that I've built into the calls that I'm selling of appreciation adds up to a lot more than the 7% dividend yield. Now, I would be out of the trade. I would end up being more aggressive with the puts that I'm selling or however I adjust as it moves along. But it's pretty neat to watch as the stock really hasn't gotten much of anywhere, collecting the premiums from selling the options. And like I said, as much as I was using 15 cents for a month, I've been getting that almost every week. And sometimes maybe I have to stretch it to like selling it on a Thursday the week prior to the next week. But it's an incredible return on a boring stock. The same was going on with Verizon, but volatility really caved on the stock, so it's very low. Um, but it works the same way, and it's not getting quite the same return. But what I've done with Verizon is I have a very small position in it, which goes to what I've talked about in the other videos about how important it is to be cautious of your position sizing and not trade too big. I would also still argue that Target is probably one of the most undervalued stocks that I can see in the market right now. It is one that I kind of continue to bang my hands on the table yelling about, but I guess we'll see in time. I think you guys who've been watching for a while know what I like about Target. I also love that everybody else hates it. Like, that's one of the things I look for when things are out of favor. Oracle, which I've been picking up, is a lot different than my typical strategy because I tend to look for bad news on really good companies. I don't usually jump in when the news is really good, but I do feel like Oracle is having one of those transitions into a company that is going to have really good growth going forward. So I hope I'm right on Oracle. I feel like it's an NVIDIA moment, but I guess I could be wrong, and I'm not going to bang my hands on the table. I'm just saying it's one of the ones I like out there. The interesting thing is I reevaluate United Healthcare. It still looks really inexpensive to me. And the reality is I think anything under $400 a share is still really reasonable. So as much as it's run up from the lows and already $100 off the bottom, I think it's still relatively inexpensive here. I'm excited for the next quarter's earnings. I'm excited to see what goes on. And another one that's kind of popped up on my radar that I never talk about is SMCI, which keeps drifting higher. Nobody's talking about it anymore. There's no more overhang of what's going on because they were lying on the books. It's still there. I don't want to say it isn't, but the way that the options premiums look, it kind of looks to me like somebody thinks that things are going to be just fine. And once it comes out that they're okay and they're not going to be removed from the exchanges, that it could really shoot up higher. When I do my math of earnings going forward and where I think the stock will be, I think a really reasonable PE ratio would be around 30, and they're expected to make about $3 a share next year, putting it at $90 a share, which is doubling the price of where it is today. Now, I don't know, SMCI is not one that I pay close attention to, but I've been watching it since it was at $150 a share and it fell to under 20. Nobody talks about it anymore, and it's been creeping up. It's around $47 a share. And again, when I think about where I think it should be valued, I picture $90 a share being a really reasonable price in the next 6 to 12 months, which is, in my mind, like a home run. Now, as always, this is not financial advice. Please don't listen to me. I am just another idiot on YouTube. In fact, I might be the biggest idiot there is. Now I'll do my little Chris Farley emoji or whatever it would be called right there because it's one of my favorites. I also like the Homer Simpson that the end is near. Anyway, as always, this is not financial advice. I am not a financial advisor. Please, you need to do your own research and reach out to your financial advisor, your accountant, or your lawyer, or whoever you get your information from to make your financial decisions. I am just a guy on YouTube sharing information that has worked for me over the years, and this is just entertainment purposes only. To the guy who said he doesn't find it really entertaining, I am sorry you don't like my videos, but it's all good. That's fine. I'm sure there are people out there that you do find entertaining, so maybe it's just not me. In my trading account, now that I've been trading options more often so that it's totally transparent and I'm not sitting there throwing a curveball that, oh, I did incredibly well with this, I did get out of SoFi yesterday and the day before in terms of selling any shares I had, and I started selling a couple of puts in hopes that it has a pullback and I can sell some more puts and potentially pick the stock back up lower. If it does just continue higher, well, I guess it was a good trade and I'll move on. I did the same thing with Google that is in my trading account. Google is also one of my biggest positions in my set it and forget it account, and I do not mess with it. I tend not to trade it. I don't know why I decided to pick some up when it was really out of favor recently, because I don't want to trade it because it's such a big position and set it and forget it. I don't want to have any issues in terms of trading poorly on a stock that I just want to own. And similarly with Amazon, which today is having another not so great day and seems to be lagging a bit. I don't know how you got, like, do you guys pay such close attention like I do? But it seemed to be getting below 220 a share. I no longer have it in my trading account, but Google, I sold, I don't remember which one, I think a 220 put, and I only got about $1 for it, but prior to their earnings that are coming up in a few weeks or a month. And similarly with Amazon, I got out, but I sold a put in case it falls to pick it up cheaper. And that's kind of what I've been doing lately with some of it. And then I just leave the set it and forget it alone. And then I have a few dividend stocks. Now, I'm happy to go into detail. The thing is, with the ones that are in my possession, it's part of why I have a set it and forget it account, is sometimes I make adjustments to the account based on whatever. Recently, like you guys know, Oracle has been on my radar, and I've really enjoyed trading these really slow moving stocks. Target, I haven't done too much with the options because, it just hasn't interested me as yet, but maybe I'll take a closer look at those. Do any of you pay attention to the options on Target, or do you just own it, not own it, think it's the worst company in the world? My buddy Steve is always making fun of it. He thinks it's dog shit. He thinks it's the worst company, and he kind of makes fun of me for picking Target. But I tell him it's not that I love Target. I think they're better companies in the world. It's just that I think it's really undervalued. And then the sleeper that's a bit of a tough one for me, which I've talked about in other videos, which is still Intel. I think it's just beginning on the rally. I really do. And I think them kind of trying to separate what's going on with NVIDIA with them and say it has nothing to do with what's going on with the government taking a 10% equity share. It's very hard for me to believe all of that. I really think the fact that we took a 10% equity share as the government or as the US, and now we own Intel, I really think they're going to do whatever is necessary to make sure that not only do they succeed, but they thrive. If I told you my price target on Intel, you guys would just think that I'm nuts, which is why I'm holding on to it. But you know what? I saw what happened with MP Materials, and I saw what happened with OKLO, and I just think the same thing is likely going to happen with Intel, and it doesn't happen overnight. What ends up happening is nothing happens for a while. So anybody who's impatient and can't stick with it gets out and moves on. And those who stick around and just wait it out and give it time, my guess is it continues to go higher. I think the bottom is set in, so I think your downside is losing about 50%, which, don't get me wrong, that is a big loss. But I think if it gets back below 20 or potentially under $18 a share, something's wrong and it doesn't make sense. But I think your upside is more than doubling your money if you stick it out for the next couple years, which is why I say it sounds so ridiculous on Intel that I don't think is that great a company. So I don't really know what's going on. I don't know what they're going to implement to be able to turn it around. What I do have confidence in is that the administration is going to do whatever it takes to make it happen. And maybe it's the putting the AI in the PCs, and they're going to call it national security or whatever it is that they need to do to then replace all the computers in the Senate, all the computers in Congress, all the computers in the military, all the computers in the White House, and possibly even, I don't know, put them out in schools or whatever they need to do to make the companies start making money and be successful again. That's my opinion. I know it seems really crazy, but That's why I bet on Intel. It isn't some belief in Intel. It's a belief in what they're going to do to make it work now that they took an equity stake. And to be honest, any other company that they do that with, I would be sensitive to as well. I mean, I didn't buy any, but my guess is this lithium one is probably the same thing. I didn't buy it because I just don't know, but it's such a small market cap that it really wouldn't take a lot to make it shoot higher. I just don't know enough about it and I wasn't comfortable with it, but I feel like I probably should have bought some of that as well for the same reasons. If they are really getting in bed with the administration and the government, my guess is it goes higher as well. And that's what I'm keeping an eye on. I mean, OKLO has blown my mind away because when I bought it at the beginning, when they put the director of energy in, who used to be on the board, they lose money. This is not a stock that I have real confidence that they're a wonderful company. Meanwhile, it's gone from $20 a share, and yesterday it was trading above 140. I'm not sure where it is today. I don't pay attention that closely on it. I know it was down at one point and maybe around $135, but my God, it's up $100 in a year, in 1 year, and they don't make money. Now, I don't know what contracts they've gotten in place. I don't know what the growth going forward is going to be. The only thing I knew is that the director of energy used to be on the board and used to work with the company, and I figured something good would come of that. It's my attitude with Intel. I missed it on MP Materials, which is a shame because I owned it years ago. In fact, my brother nailed it as far as I'm concerned. So to give him a pat on the back, because he doesn't always give himself one. And to people who are looking for a financial advisor, he is one. But don't take that the wrong way. He doesn't. Anyway, he suggested MP Materials to me years ago because it is the only U.S. Rare earth material company, and he saw value in that. And I thought totally made sense. Well, the stock struggled for a long time. But you know the reason that the administration got involved with it? Because it is the only U.S. rare earth material company, mineral company. So they saw value in that. They didn't want to rely on other countries for the rare earth minerals. And since this was the only U.S. one, they got them contracts and they saw it as national security and important that we do business with them. And the stock has skyrocketed from 15 or maybe $20 a share up to last I saw 70. And I think the CEO was on CNBC earlier today. So same concept. Like if you're I never paid attention to politics in the past. I never really, like, I watch it like a TV show. I find it interesting, but I don't really get involved. I don't have a huge opinion this way or that way. Like, I know which way I lean, but it's not like I'm not super far right or super far left. In fact, I think people get a little too extreme about a lot of it. Anyway, I've mainly started watching it simply for the financial stuff. So, either way, market looks really interesting. I'm still bullish. We'll see if we have a melt up. I do worry that if we have a huge melt up, that we have a huge melt down. But don't hear that the wrong way. My buddy sent me a message through WhatsApp. Oh, he listens to the videos and he was a little concerned about what I said. But I tried to explain to him that that is a multi-year type of move. That is nothing coming over the short term. And if it's something to be worried about, it should be something more excited about in terms of investments and how to handle that and see what happens. In terms of day to day and what people do, this is not financial advice, but just stick with your plan. It's why I say you need to do your own research. Like, I'm just giving my opinions, what I see, what I think, maybe what I hope for, but I only hope for some of it so I can pat myself in the back for ego purposes. Anyway, I do want to watch the closing bell and the earnings that are coming out and everything else. I got a little bit of a late start and I'll edit it while I watch that stuff. But if you haven't already, do me a favor and hit that subscribe button, smash the like button, make some comments. Let me know what you're buying, what you're selling, what you do in your portfolios. I love the conversations. I always find them interesting. And to the guy who was asking about, like, he's thinking about starting to rotate out of some of the riskier stuff. In my set it and forget it, my original goal was to never change it. I have gotten to the point that specifically Meta, I've sold off some of it because I feel like it's become a too big of a proportion to the portfolio. But to be fair, when I bought everything, I kind of thought, leave it. Don't ever change it. And if one stock happens to be the Apple of the past 20 years, maybe you just get that lucky with one of the stocks that you, being me, pick. So I'm not sure if I even did the right thing with easing up on some of the Apple. But the amazing thing is, in that account, it's still something like 15% of the portfolio for the set it and forget it account, which is why I say it's gotten a little too big for what I would typically have in one stock in an account. But it's also because I got very fortunate with the timing. It was back when it fell below 100. I think my average price is like 121. But that's kind of my point. Like, I expect to just stick with it. At the same time, I do feel like maybe I should rotate it into boring stuff that just pays a dividend because I'm getting old and thinking about retirement and getting to that point in my life. But for the most part, I really don't make changes in the set it and forget it account. There are things that I hope I never need to use anything in that account, and that it just transitions and my wife and son are able to continue living the way that we live without having too much stress. um, and as always, like, my goal with all this is to get people to maybe save for the future because, man, the more you can put away earlier on, just the better you end up. And you'll be really thankful when you get old and don't have the energy like you used to, because I don't have the energy anymore. Anyway, once again, do me a favor, hit that subscribe button, smash the like button, make your comments, and have a great day. If there's anything you want me to get into, just let me know what. Bye bye.